And joining us right now is the former Democratic governor of Montana, former Democratic presidential candidate, Steve Bullock. Governor, it's been a minute. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. Donald Trump is headed to your neck of the woods.
In a while.
I know. Well, you're also, you could come visit. Donald Trump's headed to your neck of the woods today, campaigning for the Republican running against Democratic Senator Jon Tester. And I don't need to remind you, control of the Senate matters and is at stake and could very well be decided with this race, with Tester's race. Do you think that the now Harris-Walz ticket helps Tester's chances or hurts them when it comes to Montana voters?
Yeah, Kate, look, it says a lot about the state of the Trump-Vance campaign, where the only time he leaves Motel Mar-a-Lago is to come to the Big Sky State. I can remember 2018, and Montanans haven't forgotten. Like, Trump came 4 times to campaign against Jon Tester, and the only thing that was left is unpaid bills for our cities and our towns as a result of those rallies. So I don't think, look, he can come all he wants, but Montanans really both understand, know, and respect this third-generation dirt farmer who's Jon Tester, a friend of mine since his first day in the state Senate, and we're going to send Tim Sheehy back to Minnesota suburbs.
I mean, Tester's what's the best way to say it? Tester's the last standing Democrat elected statewide in Montana. Is it shifting? I mean, what were you? You were the only Democratic governor elected in a state at the same time that Trump won in 2016. I mean, what did he win, by 20 points? So you know how to defy the odds. You worked it then. But are things shifting in Montana?
Look, I think 2020 with COVID, with everything, was difficult. But I mean, the beauty of it is that Montanans do know Jon Tester. That we are folks that say more important than who the party is, who's going to represent me. And what Tester has done every step of the way actually represents the concerns of those that worry about public lands, where Tim Sheehy wants to shut them down. Those are veterans, public education, and making sure that women continue to have access to reproductive health care. And those are the things that Jon Tester has done, and those are also the things that matter a lot to Montanans.
You've got another interesting aspect and connection to the presidential race this time around. You served alongside Tim Walz on Trump's bipartisan Council of Governors appointed by Trump in 2019. It was a 2-year term for you guys. What was the coordination like with then President Trump and the council? More importantly, do you recall the president interacting with Governor Walz at the time?
Look, yeah, so I was on the bipartisan Council of Governors with Governor Walz. He's been a good friend of mine since he became governor, and President Trump did not interact with us, but we actually had to stand up at times to say, you know what, things like posse comitatus or changes to the Insurrection Act should not happen. And we saw that Democrats and Republicans actually fighting for the state interests. I did not see, directly to your point, I never saw President Trump interacting. I do recall through the times of COVID and George Floyd, where Trump was actually praising Tim Walz. And Tim Walz is a guy, look, he served his country, he served the students along the way. He's somebody that actually has served our nation and its people, not just themselves.
Did you get a sense that, because compare that to what we have heard from Donald Trump now, which he considers Walz's views extreme, as he calls them now. Back then, did you get the sense that he considered Governor Walz views extreme back then?
Not at all. Look, we've seen this time and time again that all of a sudden that Donald Trump completely changes his tone and character depending on what happens. That, Tim Walz is a guy, he served an area not unlike that I served in as much as ex-urban areas throughout his time in Congress. He's a guy that you'd want to have a beer with or go hunting with. And for Donald Trump to all of a sudden try to turn him into the bogeyman, it's one of those things that authenticity and joy actually show through. And that's who Tim Walz is. And whatever I think that Donald Trump tries to do, people will see the Tim Walz that I know well.
You're getting at something I wanted to ask you about, and I've asked you about it before. I think today is an important day. I very much remember your op-ed. It was back in December 2021. The headline, to remind everyone, was, "My fellow Democrats, you need to get out of the city more." And here was your point back then. You said, "I was reelected as Montana's governor in 2016. At the same time, Donald Trump took our state by more than 20 points. It's never easy for Democrats to get elected in Montana because Democrats here are running against not only the opponent on the ballot, but also against the conservative media and at times our own typecast of the national Democratic brand. Coastal, overly educated, elitist, judgmental, socialist. A bundle of identity groups and interests lacking any shared principles. The problem isn't the candidates we nominate. It's the perception of the party we belong to." That was in 2021. Do you think that is the problem Democrats still face today? Do you think Democrats have heeded your warning at all since 21?
Yeah, Kate, I think the Democrats still often fall into exactly that, and it is a problem. But then again, let's look at where Tim Walz has been, right? He said he wants to make Minnesota the best state in the country for families. When he passes child tax credit, when he passes paid family medical leave, when he allows lunches for kids in schools, those are sort of those bread and butter issues, that the economic issues that I was talking about in that op-ed. And I think that will resonate with people because the Democratic brand at times, look, and you see Trump and Vance trying to do that on a daily basis, change it into something that is a heck of a lot worse. I mean, Tim Walz is largely focused on those issues that people talk about at the bar, along the fence line, or around their own kitchen tables.
Governor, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. And hunting season is right around the corner. It's good to see you.
We have to go this time, Kate. Great seeing you as well.